Good morning, IB History Scholars. It's Mr. Newcomb. Hope that you are having a wonderful Friday morning. We will continue with the study of the Great Depression. You want to make sure that you have submitted the assignment President Hoover and the Great Depression. That particular assignment was focusing on his approach to solving the economic issues brought on by the Great Depression. President Hoover did have some measures, however, they fell short. And as a result of that, in 1932, the American people moved in a new direction and elected Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his idea of the New Deal. And so today and on Monday, we're going to focus on FDR and the New Deal. Your assignment for today is called the New Deal, Overhaul or Overthrow. Before I get into the components of that assignment, I want to take a look at who FDR is and what the elements of the New Deal is. So with that, Franklin D. Roosevelt's philosophy of government is really the opposite of Herbert Hoover. Franklin Delano Roosevelt really felt that government needs to be active. If there's a crisis at hand, government needs to address it. And so show that it is active, willing to perhaps experiment. And when we look at the New Deal, we sometimes call it the alphabet soup because it has a variety of programs like the CCC, the WPA, the TVA, the NRA, the NIRA, AAA, SEC, FDIC. So a number of programs that definitely look like it is an alphabet soup. With that experiment, though, sometimes they're going to work and sometimes it's going to fail. And so being willing to adjust and change. And he understood at this point that government needs to be willing to adjust and change and show compassion to the American people. One thing during the 1932 election, he hit home the idea that he is not going to forget you. He had this idea of the forgotten man. And he said Herbert Hoover has forgotten you, has become disconnected, and he wouldn't do that. And so he's going to show compassion. And almost immediately, he's going to have weekly updates to the American public. We're going to call that the fireside chats, in which he is going to make a personal connection with the American public. And that's going to go quite far with the American public. Now, with this philosophy of government, he's got to put that towards how to solve the Great Depression, and he's going to do that with the New Deal. He was the governor of New York, and he's experimented a little bit with it at the state level. Now he's going to try to bring it to the national level. And what are the components of the New Deal? And that is what the assignment's going to get at, what the specific components are. But the overall idea is built on what we call 3 R's: relief, recovery, reform. Relief, provide relief immediately to the American public. That could be financial relief. It could be some quick job schemes to provide relief. Recovery is how can you get the economy to recover and sustain itself. And so with the first 2 R's, relief and recovery, that's going to be a shift in how active government is. And in the case of the New Deal, government is going to become extremely active, and it's going to open up, Uncle Sam is going to open up his wallet, and the money is going to be flying out of it. So these recovery type programs are going to be like public works programs, loans, grants, and that's going to cost some money, and that's going to be a shift. And we're going to call that deficit spending, and that is very Keynesian-like, which is a shift from Hoover and Coolidge and Harding's frame of thinking, which is more Milton Friedman's approach to money matters, budget, deficits, and taxes. With FDR, it's about deficit spending. Let's not worry about the bottom line, and that can be worrisome. But at the moment, FDR is thinking drastic times require drastic measures. And then the last R is reform. Take a look at what were the systemic problems that helped bring on the Great Depression or were magnified by the Great Depression. Things like the banking, the stock market, those issues that were very fragile, those institutions that were very fragile prior to the crash, try to address that and create some long-term reform. And so some of those measures, like protecting bank deposits, FDIC, still with us today. Protect the stock market, the Security Exchange Commission, it's still with us today. So those are those reform type measures. All right, so with that, your assignment is opened in Schoology, and you can find it in there. And we are going to look at FDR and his approach, and we want to see how effective he is in solving the Great Depression. Now, the assignment looks something like this, and it's broken up into 3 parts. The first part is a political cartoon, and you're going to have some questions related to this political cartoon. And for the most part, you should be able to find the answers to these questions in that political cartoon. Now, when you get to part B, this is where you're going to probably use chapter 33, or you're going to GTS it, which means Google that stuff. And this is really looking more at what the components of relief, recovery, reform is. And so we have it organized where here are some examples of relief programs, examples of recovery programs, and examples of reform programs. And what you need to do here is look at how do each of these programs promote the goals. And a goal here is relief, or the goal is reform, or the goal is recovery. So how do these programs do that? All right, and that's going to take a little while. And so that's why we're spreading this out Friday. You got the weekend, and then you'll have some time on Monday to work on this as well. And then the last part, of course, we always have to ask what we call the BHQ, the big historical questions. At the beginning of this unit of study, I said the Great Depression is really going to question what we think government should be doing during these difficult times. And so we have examples of not only the Great Depression in the 20th century, but in our own 21st century with the Great Recession of 2008 and the current COVID pandemic. I want you to really look at the role government has in these economic crises. And so get you to think about that. All right. And so with that, we are going to work on this today, Friday, December 4th, and you have the weekend, and then you'll have some class time on Monday, December 7th. If you have any questions about this particular assignment or any assignment, you can always email me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. With that, I wish you a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday.